The wind blew with a certain chill that morning, not quite cold enough to bite, but enough to make people clutch their coats tighter as they hurried past the corner of Maple and 6th Avenue in downtown Seattle. Most days, people walked right past her without so much as a glance. A little girl, no more than 8, sat cross-legged on a folded cardboard box. Her name was Lila. But to everyone else, she was just that beggar child. Her tangled hair peeked out from beneath a faded beanie. Her oversized hoodie hung off her thin frame like a borrowed memory. A small tin can sat in front of her, rattling with coins that rarely ever came. She didn't ask for much. Just enough to eat, maybe enough to buy a blanket someday. But mostly, she just sat, quiet, watching, waiting. She had a habit of counting shoes. Red sneakers meant someone young, probably kind. High heels were often in a rush. Polished loafers. Those never stopped. But once in a while, a worn-out boot or a faded flip-flop would pause, and Lila would look up with hope. Most times, it was misplaced. But she kept hoping anyway. Across the street, inside a cozy cafe called Maple Roast, people sipped lattes, typed away on laptops, and discussed weekend plans. No one noticed Lila, except for one waitress, a soft-spoken woman named Ellie, who had been working the morning shift for the past 2 years. Every day, Ellie saw Lila through the large window. And every day, something tugged at her heart. Ellie had grown up in foster care. She knew what it felt like to be invisible. To sit in silence and wonder if someone would choose you. That's what made her notice Lila. There was something in the girl's eyes, a deep sadness wrapped in quiet courage. One rainy Tuesday, while the city bustled and blurred behind streaked glass, Ellie made a decision. On her lunch break, she crossed the street with a sandwich, apple slices, and a small cup of hot cocoa. She knelt beside Lila and offered the bag. "Hi, sweetie. I brought you something warm." Lila blinked at her, hesitant. "Why?" she asked in a small voice. Ellie smiled. "Because you looked cold. And hungry. And because someone should." That was the beginning. For weeks, Ellie brought her leftovers or bought an extra sandwich. They never talked much. Lila rarely spoke, and when she did, her answers were short and cautious. Ellie never pushed. She just sat beside her sometimes, talking about the weather, the birds, or her dog, Max. She even brought Max one day. Lila's face lit up. It was the first real smile Ellie had ever seen from her. They started playing small games. I Spy, 20 questions, even drawing in the dirt with sticks. Slowly, Lila opened up. She told Ellie about her mom, how they had lived in a shelter for a while, but after her mother got sick, they had nowhere left to go. One day, her mother didn't wake up. Lila had been alone ever since. Ellie was heartbroken. She wanted to take her home, to adopt her, to give her the world. But she didn't have the means. She lived in a small apartment with barely enough to pay rent. Still, she promised Lila that she would never be alone again. But the city had its watchers, people with smartphones and opinions. A man recorded Ellie handing Lila a hot drink and posted it online with the caption, "This waitress feeds the beggar child every day." Sad world. The post went viral. Some people criticized Ellie, saying she was encouraging begging. Others praised her for showing kindness in a world growing colder. One afternoon, as Ellie sat with Lila under a flickering streetlight, a tall man in a sleek black coat approached. His name was Marcus Whitmore, CEO of Whitmore Solutions and one of the city's wealthiest tech moguls. His eyes scanned the girl, then rested on Ellie. "I saw the video," he said flatly. Ellie stood, brushing crumbs off her apron. "Did you come to lecture me, too?" Marcus shook his head. "No. I came to see her." He turned to Lila, who stared up at him with guarded eyes. Something about her gaze made Marcus pause. Something familiar. He knelt, reaching into his pocket and pulling out a locket, tarnished gold, with a tiny rose carved on it. He opened it. Inside, 2 photos. One of a young woman with Lila's same eyes. The other, of a baby girl wrapped in a hospital blanket. Marcus's voice cracked. Your mother was my sister. The world stopped. Ellie gasped. Lila froze. She looked from the locket to the man, to Ellie, and back. You're lying, Lila whispered. Marcus shook his head. I wish I was. I didn't know, your mother disappeared when you were a baby. She was struggling, ran from help. I thought she took you with her, maybe left the country. But I never stopped looking. I only found out a week ago that she passed away last year. And then I saw the video. Tears slipped down Lila's cheeks. She used to tell me stories about an uncle. Said he was rich, but wouldn't care. Marcus's eyes welled up. I cared. I just didn't know where to find you. The following days were a blur. DNA tests confirmed the truth. News outlets exploded with headlines, Beggar child found to be heiress of tech empire. Reporters swarmed the street corner. The cafe had to close early to avoid the chaos. Strangers left toys and notes for Lila. Some people rejoiced. Others called it a fairy tale. But those close to Lila knew better. It wasn't about money. It was about being seen. Marcus offered to take her in. A mansion, tutors, private school, anything she wanted. But Lila had one request. Can Ellie come too? He agreed, without hesitation. Ellie moved into the guest house on the estate. She became Lila's official guardian and confidant. Marcus arranged for Ellie to go back to college and paid off her debts. Life began to blossom in new, beautiful ways. Lila no longer sat on street corners. She now played in gardens, read books, and took art classes. She painted sunflowers and cityscapes, dogs and memories. But she never forgot. One morning, she asked Ellie to take her back to the corner where they first met. She brought a bouquet of wildflowers and a note she placed where her cardboard box once was. The note read, "To whoever sits here next. You are not invisible. You are loved. Don't give up. Someone will see you. Just like Ellie saw me." Asterisk. Ellie, standing beside her, squeezed her hand. The world can be cold, she whispered, but kindness can melt even the hardest ice. Lila nodded. And one act of love can change everything. And so it had. Because she was no longer the beggar child. She was Lila Whitmore. Seen. Loved. Home.